And welcome to Weather and Climate Chat, another edition of this fine podcast that Dr. Michael Davis and Monsoon Mike, myself, produce for you each and every week, or mostly each and every week, but we're kind of in an each and every week pattern now that we're into the fall. Dr. Davis, welcome to the show.
Good to be back.
And as our thing that we're trying to do this semester, or that you're trying to do, bringing in a student from your class each and every week, you want to introduce who we have in the studio with us today?
Today we have one of our geography majors and one of my advisees, Quinn Flory, with us today from my weather analysis class.
Quinn, you want to say hello?
Hello.
We'll talk to you in a little bit more as we go throughout the podcast. Usually the general format for how Dr. Davis and I do this is it's about a 15-minute podcast. For the first half, we'll talk a little bit about the current weather conditions and what's going on, and then second half we'll discuss some climate issues, and there's been a lot of interesting things going on in climate that we'll get to shortly. But we are recording this once again on Thursday, September 26th. And weather last week, Dr. Davis, was rather cool. We had a flip back to more summer-like weather this past weekend with temperatures. I think Sunday, Reading topped out at 92. So that's pretty toasty for the last full day of summer.
Yeah, we had temperatures that were pushing 90s even earlier this week. And we just had this really warm air that came in. And then the cold front came through on Tuesday, I believe it was.
Late Monday, early Tuesday, yep.
And we had a brief shower here in Kutztown. By me and Emmaus, we had probably about a 15-20 minute cloud burst. So we did get a fair amount of rain from that.
And where I live in Auburn, zero, nothing. I totally missed out yet again.
And in our forecast contest I'm running with weather analysis, we were forecasting for Baltimore this week. And a lot of my students were hoping that the rain would make its way down to Baltimore because they had a chance of showers, but they didn't. And those that went with precip, including myself, we all got burned.
Again.
And those that didn't are looking good for the week.
Yeah, I think I'm looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, Quinn, there's one that did not go precip Monday, and I believe you're among the leaders right now.
Yeah, I think me and Evan are right now.
Yeah. And you're still number one overall.
Oh, really? I haven't checked this morning, so that's cool.
We're in such a pattern of, just if there's a day when I see like a 20% chance of a shower, I usually will just take the chance that we're probably not going to see anything because it's just been this dome of high pressure has just been so difficult to break into. And
we had that high pressure last week that gave us pretty much those persistent sunny skies from most of the week, actually.
Right.
And then we had the cold front swing through a Monday, and then we just had another high pressure come in and take its place, and it's not going to break till early next week, I think.
Yeah. Now this particular high pressure that we have now has been a little bit cooler. It's not. It was, like I said, Saturday and Sunday were summer-like. Past couple days have been a little more fall-like, but still slightly above average temperature-wise. Humidity's been nice and low, so it's felt good, even though it's been warm. Actually, today when we're recording this, September 26th, I'm seeing more clouds than I've seen in a while, and that's with another weak cold front coming through, I think, but later today, correct?
Yeah, we have a trough that's kind of swinging through. It may give us a little bit of cloud cover, but it doesn't look like it has any sort of real uplift potential associated with it, and we have such dry air in place right now. It's going to be really difficult to initiate any sort of shower activity.
National Weather Service has gone with a 20% chance of precipitation. Let's look at the short range.
And I think that's pretty bullish of them. I don't really see
Look at the short range high resolution model to see what it thinks. Okay, this is 60 around noon. Maybe a couple showers getting into Schuylkill County around noontime.
Break apart. I mean, you're going to have some scattered.
Yeah, I mean, the HHR is actually a little bullish up toward the Pennsylvania-New York border, like up near Binghamton. They might get some steadier showers, but down our way, it looks like it kind of breaks up.
The Poconos and like New England, that's where you're going to be getting more of the organized activity. Not so much by us. The Appalachians pretty much seem to be ripping it apart as it's moving eastward.
Right, yeah, it's more organized and then kind of breaks apart. So I'm thinking out of this, if we do see anything, just a couple hundredths of an inch of rain.
If that.
And then back to pretty much high pressure for tomorrow. What's our forecast high for tomorrow? 75. So a little cooler. That cool front will knock a couple degrees off of our high of 77 for today. Saturday this weekend, Saturday looks fairly warm. We're back into the low 80s, says the National Weather Service. forecasting a 20% chance of a shower or a thunderstorm on Saturday. I'm not sure what that's associated with. Is that another... let's see. A cold front will approach this afternoon. High pressure moves back in behind the front. Another cold front crosses the region Saturday night, says the National Weather Service. So, small chance of a shower or a thunderstorm on Saturday. Let's see what the GFS is painting for our area. Yeah,
pretty much the same thing.
Same sort of thing. That kind of breaks up.
Thursday.
Maybe later Saturday evening. Couple hundredths of an inch of rain, and then. Shave a couple more degrees off for Sunday with a high of 79. Monday around 75. Tuesday around 79. Wednesday around 83. So it's kind of ironic that the first half of this year all it seemed like we talked about was rain, and the second, at least the past month or so, all we're talking about is sunshine.
And those temperatures are a little above normal too.
Actually, quite a bit. Actually, if we get to 83 next Wednesday, like they're forecasting, that would be a good. Average high 69, so that's a good, almost a little over 15 degrees above normal. So yeah,
going into the start of October, because October 1st is Tuesday.
Right. Now, one thing that the models have been heralding a little bit, and I've been excited about because I am a fan of cooler weather and not a fan of warmth. Is
yeah, me too. I do not like the warm weather at all.
This really irks me when we have weather like this time of year. But one thing that the GFS has been fairly persistent at, and I see it being picked up by AccuWeather, is that right around my birthday's on 10/5, we have some sort of pattern change, at least temporary. Let's go up here. Yeah, it looks like we have a front of some sort swing through around next Thursday, a week from today, and then quite a bit cooler with cool high pressure coming in from Canada for next weekend. Now, whether that lasts or not, I always like to look at the...
Yeah, that's 7-10 days out, too.
Yeah, the 2 meter temperatures here. So we go from Wednesday, when we're looking at highs in the mid 80s, to next Friday, if this holds true, mid 60s. So that'd be nice. And next Saturday, wow, that's if the GFS is correct, my birthday will actually be only 55 degrees around 1 o'clock on Saturday. Next Saturday, that is, not this coming Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that if that's true. Of course, that's still a good 7 days, 8-9 days out, and that could change. But looks like a little bit of some sort of pattern change to maybe some more typical autumn weather after about next Thursday.
Yeah, it looks more like your autumnal setup, but not really. I wouldn't put much stock in it at this point. Yeah,
it's still a ways away, and once we get out past 7 or so days, your forecast confidence always goes down quite a bit. So we'll see. And also, the other thing I'm noticing too, and I'm not sure if this has to do with how our climate works nowadays or what, but it seems that we get these cool shots, and they might be chilly for a couple of days, but then 2, 3, 4 days later, it's right back up.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking, that if we get this cool shot around my birthday, maybe by the 8th or 9th, we might be back in the 80s again, for all you know. So
it's a distinct possibility.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. But other than that, folks, not a whole lot to talk about. Current weather type conditions, it's just basically sunny and dry.
The tropics are kind of active, but
tropics
nothing
are active.
That really impacts us.
Oh, I forgot to check the climate prediction center just to see what their 8 to 14 day is, to see if they kind of agree with that cool down.
We did have Jerry. I'll talk about the tropics real fast here.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
We did have Jerry out there briefly, but then is become post-tropical and pretty much moving out to sea. You had Karen that impacted Puerto Rico, gave them several inches of rain, but doesn't really look organized. And we have a major hurricane out in the Atlantic right now, Lorenzo, and he's, I think I heard 120 miles per hour right
125 to be exact.
So moved up a little bit since this morning. But that one's going to be a fish storm and stay out in the middle of the ocean.
And this is... or mid to late September, we are kind of like peaking at hurricane season. But I think peak is September 10th?
Yeah,
okay,
we're already past the peak.
We're kind of like going down a little bit.
But we're still at a very active period.
Still a very active period. So Lorenzo, which is our bigger storm out there, is not really expected to... Let's look at the cone. Yeah, right out to sea. Nothing. So as they say, a fish storm, maybe
it's just impacting shipping lanes.
Shipping travel, that's about it. So... And not really a whole lot else cooking out there right now. Karen, she's not going to do anything. Did you just mention Karen? I think you did.
Yeah, Karen didn't really show a lot of organization. And
look at that track.
Yeah, there's a loop-de-loop.
That's a wonky track there, yeah.
Kind of similar to Hurricane Jean
Yeah.
2004, I'm going to say. 2005, somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 4, actually. She did a loop out there. And it's
what was that spelled? Jeanne?
Jeanne.
She was 2004, yep. And she was the deadliest hurricane in the Atlantic Basin since Mitch in 1998.
But if you look at her track, she also did a loop.
Oh, yeah, I remember Jean now. Okay, you reminded me. Yeah, she went and then looped around.
Pretty much in the same area where Karen is.
Yeah, but fortunately, I don't think Karen's going to come back. And, I mean, it's kind of like over here, but, yeah, it looks like they're just forecasting a depression by the time it would make it anywhere near the United States. So not really a concern at all. Do you think we'll see the tropics ramp up a little bit still, or are we kind of past that peak now, Dr. Davis?
It's still possible. I was looking at the Hurricane Center's outlook for the next month, and they do have still fairly good development area around the Cape Verde Islands and toward the Caribbean. So don't let your guard down yet.
Okay. All right. So we are about 10 minutes into our program here, so let's get into our climate topic of the day. Lots been going on in the world of climate. Where do you want to start, Dr. Davis?
Let's start with the IPCC that put out the ocean report.
Take it away.
Just yesterday, talking about how the oceans have been taking in most of the energy from human-caused climate change. In fact, we've been seeing almost a rapid increase in the sea surface temperatures since 1990, almost a doubling of them. And that rate of warmth is quite alarming to scientists who believe that most of the ocean's capacity to hold energy has been already met. Wow. You think about the ocean as being a giant sponge taking in energy, and we're almost reaching that saturation point. Wow. If you look at the last IPCC report, you can see that most of the warming has been going into the ocean, because the ocean's the big heat reservoir of the planet. So while atmospheric temperatures may not be climbing as much as they have been in the past, you have seen ocean temperatures being much warmer. And one would almost surmise that if the oceans were to finally reach their storage capacity, then you're going to start seeing that being translated to increased in atmospheric temperatures.
So this is pretty scary stuff there. Potentially scary stuff.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is we need to start doing something about that, and that's where we had the climate strike on last Friday.
The climate strikes have been making a lot of press. I saw they shut a road down in Washington, D.C., I think, blocking traffic to make their statement. And, of course, we had the big story of the past week has been our 16-year-old climate activist who's made a lot of press. Talk a little bit about that.
So about a year ago, Greta Thunberg was in Sweden pretty much having a protest of sorts outside the Swedish Parliament building. She was all by herself, protesting that they're not doing enough to address climate change for the future generations, and it pretty much just went from there. And she had more friends that joined in, and more children, school children from around Europe mostly, that joined in. So now you get Fridays for the Future, where students are protesting to go to school on Friday, thinking that they should not be studying for a future that doesn't exist.
That's true.
And if the adults in power are not doing anything about their future, they're the ones that have to take on that mantle to do something. And it's quite disturbing, almost in a way, that you have the adults that should be doing this, not the children.
It's true.
And she made a very passionate speech at the UN on Monday, I believe, talking about how she should be in school, she should be learning, but instead she's doing this because they're not doing their job.
Right. And that's a very good point. I mean, our kids should be in school learning, but instead we don't even know what kind of planet we're going to have in another 13 or so years, because at the rate we're going now, we're in big trouble very shortly.
Yeah, and we need to get that momentum behind us, and I personally think that we're getting close to that turning point, because there were over 4 million people that struck just over the climate strike weekend. And there's similar demonstrations that will be happening tomorrow on Friday and Fridays to come until there's some type of real climate action.
Right. Okay. Well, that's definitely a sobering thought. Our guest here today, did you want to weigh in on any of this?
Yeah, do you have any comments, Quinn?
Yeah, I was going to say that I honestly feel bad for Greta. She has a lot of weight on her shoulders, and she shouldn't be having to do something that isn't in her power or isn't in her, like, timeline. You know, like, adults should be taking, like, care of this for her. She shouldn't have to put all this weight on her shoulders herself.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, she shouldn't have to, I guess, quote unquote, lose her childhood over something that's way bigger than her.
And she's taking some nasty criticism from climate skeptics as well too. I mean, people that are mocking her. It's like you're mocking a 16-year-old who's trying to save our planet.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of, I don't know, like, it's rude.
Yeah.
And what she's doing is just speaking about science.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in Congress just a few days prior and said, I have no testimony, but I'd like to submit the IPCC Special Report 1.5 as my testimony. Unite behind the science. Pretty much that's what she said.
Right.
Yeah,
Very
she knows
short
her
and to the
stuff.
point.
Yeah. She knows her stuff.
Where if you have the science, there's nothing political about the numbers.
Right.
It's what you
interpret
them as.
That's what gets frustrating when climate skeptics will say you're politicizing this. You're not really. We're not politicizing anything. We're just trying to. This is science. These are numbers. These are facts. These are what we see where we're going. We're going down. Our planet is going downhill, and we've got to do something quickly to stop it. But right away, it's you're politicizing everything. You're not. We're not. We're trying to.
And then it's pretty much synonymous with if one of your rooms is on fire in your house. You don't say my room is on fire. You say your house is on fire.
That's a good point, too. Yeah, that's a good point.
And you don't sit around debating whether you should call the fire department to put out the fire. You call the fire department.
Right. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, you have the evidence there. Your house is on fire. Do something.
Right.
Because that's literally what's happening.
Before we wrap up the podcast, trying to end it on a little bit more of a positive note, did our guest of the week want to have any final thoughts about the class or what you're learning or any tidbits, research you're working on, anything? Put it out there.
Yeah. So my name's Quinn Flory. I'm a senior this year, so I'm hoping to graduate this spring. I've taken almost every class I could possibly take with Dr. Davis. He's a really great teacher. He knows his stuff. I love going to his classes. He makes it really exciting to learn about what we're learning about. I've taken global warming, climatology, what was the meteorology, and then advanced meteorology with you.
You took physical
science, physical geography with you. So yeah, a whole bunch of classes.
Then you went to New Orleans.
Oh yeah, I went to New Orleans back in my sophomore year of college to present some research that we started, but we had to take a break on it because I've had other things to work on with school and stuff. It becomes very stressful really quickly, and your time goes really quickly.
It does. Yeah. These 4 years go by really quickly, and you'll look back and you'll be like,
yeah,
what
I think
happened?
They went quicker than high school, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I've definitely had a lot more fun and had a lot more experiences. So
yeah, I'm the same way looking back at my undergrad career. It's like I blinked and it was over.
Yeah.
And it's like as you get older, everything seems to go quicker and quicker. It's kind of scary. Yeah. But such is life. Well, what are you looking to do?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to be a meteorologist, and I'd like to, I actually like to study hurricanes. I like to move down to North Carolina and work at a national hurricane center and study them and go out in the field and report them. Yeah, they really interest me. I love stuff like that. I don't like what happens after the fact, but yeah, I don't know. They're really interesting.
Yeah, it's like one of those. I'm the same way. I find it fascinating, and it's always my hobby of weather. I almost sometimes feel guilty because I enjoy. You feel the same way. Tracking a hurricane. It's like, but that hurricane's going to do this, or that's tornadoes. Same way. Have you ever storm chased or thought about storm chasing or?
Oh no, but actually I live with my grandmother, and whenever we live in central Pennsylvania, Northumberland County.
Okay.
And not very rarely, but sometimes that we have tornadoes.
Tornadoes, yeah.
And sometimes when we get really bad hailstorms or the wind's picking up, I'll go stand by the glass window and like look outside to see if anything's happening. She's always like, get away from that window. What if something comes falling in? I'm like, it's fine. I'll know when to go downstairs. It's fine.
Do you remember, I don't know when, if you're a senior, you might remember, or might have been before your time. When was that big hailstorm in Berks County, Dr. Davis? Remember a couple of years ago?
2014.
Okay, that might have been before your time here. We had Kutztown didn't get it that bad, but about 10 miles south of here, Reading had a historic hailstorm with hail like this.
Oh, wow.
And cars were, to this day, you can still see some cars driving around with these huge dents in them, and that was from the hailstorm.
We get pretty big hailstorms there too. We have we have a lot of car dealerships where I live too, so then they always have the hail discounts right after that happens.
Yeah.
The hail sales.
The hail sales, yeah.
Well, this one down in Reading, Wyomissing, a number of years ago was so bad that they actually sent out some PennDOT plow trucks to plow snow. It was like that deep. It was pretty wild.
That's crazy.
So hail is an amazing phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being a part of today's podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We wish you the best in your future, the rest of the semester, the rest of your time here at Kutztown University, and stay in touch.
Yeah, I will.
All right. And Dr. Davis, any final words?
And you could also hear Quinn and all my other students giving the weather forecasts each week.
That's correct. Well, this is not the last we've heard from you. We'll actually be hearing you every Monday from here on out, pretty much.
Yeah.
Doing weather. Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah, so listen to me.
Good stuff. All right. Well, Dr. Davis, Quinn, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I'll see you back here, Dr. Davis, next week, hopefully with another student. We'll see if that works or not.
I hope so.
If not. And have a good one.